Good evening and thank you for coming this evening to our annual athletic code meeting. I'm Mr. Cordes, the superintendent of schools here at Cuba City, and you're going to receive a lot of information, and so please listen carefully and please take note on where you can get access to that information after the meeting. And I understand it's going to be a review for our 10th, 11th, and 12th graders, and it's going to be new for our 9th graders, so welcome to our freshman class. So as I mentioned, each year when we review our rules and regulations, I strongly recommend and advise that you listen closely. Because we all know that when you follow the rules and regulations and guidelines, they will guide you to a successful school year and a rewarding one for 2016-17. So good luck to each of you as you strive for your individual goals and your team goals. So before I hand it off to our athletic director and our coach, Mr. Pastina, please join me in a big, loud round of applause for all of our coaches and advisors.
Cordes. Welcome back to everyone. Again, especially our freshmen, incoming freshmen. If you're new, I remember that distinctly with my last kid, my first kid. But just remember that everything really goes fast. It's amazing how fast things go. So parents enjoy it. Athletes take advantage. Create some memories and take advantage of all the opportunities that you have. We appreciate your patience. We tried something new this year in terms of staggering the classes when they come in and register. So we're still a little behind, but I appreciate your patience. I apologize for the heat. We'll try to get you through as fast as possible and still cover all of the information and make sure we answer any questions that you may have. Again, we appreciate all of you becoming part of our athletic department. We're happy to see everybody here on behalf of all of our coaches and administrators and secretaries, everybody who's involved in the athletic department. We thank you and hope we continue, that tradition of excellence that we have here at Cuba City High School. Hopefully everybody's signed in, registered, and have your folders. So you should be good to go. We'll cover that information. But if you haven't, make sure you pop over there at a break. We'll have one break here tonight where you get a chance to pop over there, stop down and ask any of the coaches questions or myself, and then we'll finish the rest of the presentation. I'd like to, first of all, recognize who we have in front of you tonight. You've already met Mr. Cordes. I am Mr. Pastina, the athletic director here at the high school, and the girls basketball coach. So if we could, we'll start down at that end, and you can just stand, tell us who you are, a sports coach, or anything else that's pertinent.
Andrew Nutter, I coach high school golf.
Christina Taylor, I coach the Pom Squad. Julie Joel, I am business accounting and the yearbook advisor.
Tracy Steffen, I'll be the new athletic trainer here for this year.
Carrie Lawson, head volleyball.
All around girls, boys, and girls golf.
Steve Kaiser, head softball coach.
Jim Babel, high school principal. Paul, you want to try it again?
Yeah, all right. I'm the cross country coach on the golf.
Sure, he's better than head varsity basketball.
Steve Graber, head varsity baseball coach.
Guy Cotton, head football coach. Jason Holzberg, boys and girls track.
Joe Moak, wrestling coach. Thank you. And down at the end, down here, we have Pam, who registered most of you. She's part of our secretarial staff here at the high school. Julie Kaiser could not be here tonight. Carl Kaiser is also a secretary up here. They do a great job. They will do a lot with your son or daughter this year. Everything that comes in comes through Pam and Julie. So, again, if you're registering for school, which you wanted me to mention, and we can do that right now, please don't wait till the end. If you can make it in, register for school. Office hours here at the high school are 7 to 1. I don't believe this Friday, the office will be open. Other than that, please get registered for school as well. We obviously, got a lot of paper here, and I know that, Tina Burkett is over there helping Pam, and she's also someone who is looking to put together with Pam more of an online process next year. So look for that next year. We had some changes in our website that are going on this summer. Hopefully that will happen next year. The agenda tonight is as follows. We're going to have a little facilities discussion. We'll discuss the chain of command if anybody has a concern. Talk about the forms that you have in your folders. And hear from our athletic trainer, Tracy Steffan, our Booster Club representative, Scott Wright, your director, Julie Joel, Mr. Babel, and then we will have breakdown meetings. We'll have a football, volleyball, and cross-country breakdown. And we'll meet after that. So we do want to try to move it along. We can save a lot of time for those things. Facilities, the last 7 years I've been the athletic director here. We've really done a lot of things in our school, around our school for the different sports. You can look at this gymnasium, and that was done about 7 years ago, before being re-sanded, painted, the new banners, the conference banners, things like that. We're still looking to improve in here, and that might be one of the things we look at down the road. The new fitness center weight room was added. One of the really great things that we have to offer at our school. Our track was resurfaced a couple of years ago. The press box was extended and renovated. And I think, when teams come in, schools come in, they really see those things. And it's really neat to see or hear people say, oh, that's awesome. Last year we talked about our baseball field being renovated, and we got to that around September, groundwork. October we started to do some things, and if you're driven by that, you can see that that's also something that is much improved, and now we're one of the better baseball fields in the conference. We still have some things to do on that, but we're very proud of that. We're proud of the other facilities that we maintain, and we hope that our athletes are also proud of it, and all the venues that we try to maintain here. There are some things that we have in the works. We'll be discussing that with a lot of people. And all the things that have happened here have been due to a lot of work by a lot of people. Donated work, donated money, and we look at our high school, who's helped out as well. But in particular, you could probably point to the Booster Club as the things that I just mentioned and the help that they did getting those things. So we will have our Booster Club rep speaking later tonight, and they can discuss some of the things that you might want to get involved with. Okay, one of the things we talk about here at the high school is chain of command. Look, you hit that exhaust fan. It's the switch over here by the door, the top switch. Thank you. The first thing we want you to do, if you have a concern or your son or daughter has a concern, is speak to your coach with the athlete talking to the coach. That's the first step that we would really like to see. Now, it can be a lower level athlete coming to a varsity athlete, but preferably they speak to their coach. So if they're a varsity reserve player, go to your varsity reserve coach. Then you can go see the varsity coach. That's the first step. By the way, I think I probably should mention the levels that we now have here at Cuba City. So I can see a few of the older people here. You guys probably went through this. You were varsity, JV, and freshman. Those labels have now changed. The SWAL Constitution and the SWAL changed those names 2 years ago to varsity, the top level, varsity reserve as the next level down, and at that level, juniors, sophomores, and freshmen are allowed to play on that level. Those were changed because of a lot of variables that happened with the schools in our area. And then the last level is called JV, and that means that sophomores or freshmen can play at that level. caveat to that is we're the only school this fall that still has our freshman volleyball considered freshman. And I still use that in my our school programs and so forth, just because we're playing in the Dubuque League and we're playing with freshmen only, as well as the other schools that are down there playing in that league and a tournament to follow. So it's freshman volleyball. Otherwise, it's going to be JV, varsity reserve, and varsity. Back to the concerns. If the athlete or the parent wasn't real thrilled with what the coach had to say, you could move to the next level and have the parent come in and speak with the coach. That's the next part of the protocol. We would ask that you please call ahead and set up a time to speak with the coach. What we don't want to see is a parent talking to a coach right after a game, coming out on the floor, coming out on the field. Those times are emotional times before and after games. So we'd like to see a cool down period and then a phone call, and certainly those coaches could speak with you. If you'd like to continue on, again, like maybe the coach's response, you could then speak with the athletic director / principal. You could meet with Mr. Babel and myself, and then the last step would be with Mr. Cordes and the school board. So that's kind of the chain of command and the protocol that we would like to see if an athlete or a parent has a concern or question. And by the way, sometimes questions are answered simply by going and looking at each of our coaches' specific sport handbook. So every coach here has a sport-specific handbook, and I have one on file as well. And so sometimes if you went to that, you might be able to have a question answered. It does not take the place of our code, but there are certain things that coaches want within their programs. And there will be a signature sheet on each of those. So when your son or daughter goes out for a sport, you're going to see that sport-specific handbook, and there'll be a signature sheet at the end. Yep, I get that, I understand that, I am okay with that. Sign it, and you're in. Some of the things that when we talk about athlete to coach, parent to coach, whatever those concerns may be, there's some things that we talk about as being appropriate and some are inappropriate. But just very quickly, some of the appropriate things that you might have a concern with might be maybe mental or physical treatment of your child, ways to help your child improve, concerns you have about your child, their behavior, etc. Maybe some of the inappropriate things are going to be playing time. That's non-negotiable. Team strategy, other team members. Unless there's some gross negligence going on, those are inappropriate. I think our coaches have worked really hard with our kids and have evaluated them in a lot of ways. The leagues, the tournaments, open gyms, you name it, the weight room. So I think they have a pretty good handle on that, and they'll be making decisions on those other types of things. I think we've done a good job here. We've made a very nice, I think, decorum, athletic decorum, so to speak, with parents, coaches, administration here. And I know that part of it is because we hire good coaches. So we hope that we trust them, and we're going to turn your son or daughter over to them to coach that sport. Okay, a couple things that are not in your folders before we get to your folders. Sports fees. We know that first sport that you go out for, your son or daughter does, will be $50. Second sport's $25. Third sport's $15. Okay? And how we're going to do this, we're going to encourage any of you and all of you that think you might be eligible for free and reduced to sign that form or fill that form out. Those forms are over there. And they're in your school packet or school folder, and they're also in the office. So please, if you have any thoughts, indications you might be eligible, fill this out. Okay? So what we do is we are going to hold that check because you have to have your sports fees paid before you can play. So that means means you have to fill out the check. Turn it in the office. You'll hold the check if you're going to fill out that form. And that process takes about 10 days to 2 weeks. If you qualify, here's your check back. If you don't, we deposit the check and let you know. Okay, so that's the process with that. Also, when we talk about a couple things that are not in your folder, I know you guys are all over these. All right. These are sports physical forms or the alternate form. In terms of this one, the green form, that is the form that your athlete has to turn in once they get their physical. And you take it to your doctor or whatever you need to do, but if you come back with another form and you turn it in to Pam, Pam's going to give it back to you and he's going to tell you it needs to be on this form. Okay? That's one of those WIAA rules. We have Cuba City rules, we have SWAL rules, and we have WIAA rules. This is a form that you have to have. This is an alternate form, which means the year that you don't need your physical. Generally, freshmen and juniors need a physical. Sophomores and seniors will take the alternate form. Sometimes it gets messed up with a kid that may not have gone out, maybe there's an injury or something like that, where you have to take this your sophomore and senior year. One of these has to be on file in order for your son or daughter to practice and or play. And we'll talk a little bit about those other forms and where we're at starting today, but understand this green form or this yellow alternate form have to be in. No exceptions. The other part of it we're talking about has to do with the fee and your forms. All of their sports are going to need everything in before they can practice or play. Football is the exception because they start tomorrow, and we're handing some of this information out to you tonight. So understand, they need their physical and alternate cards in to practice tomorrow. But the other forms, we're giving them 2 days. So prior to practice on Thursday, all the forms and all the money, your fee, needs to be turned in. Okay? So that's a little bit of giving, I guess, with our football program. All right, to your folders. The first form you see, I believe, on the left-hand side is called your medical emergency form. We really want you to try to keep that as up to date as possible. Fill out as much of your child's information as possible on that. And really, what we need is be able to give them the best care if there's a situation. This is in triplicate. So, who gets this? Coaches will always have a copy. Our athletic trainer will always have a copy. And our school office will always have a copy. If something happens, you know exactly what's going on, where to take your kid, et cetera, et cetera. Okay? So this needs to be turned in as well. The next one is that signature sheet on the left-hand side. Looks like that, white signature sheet. A lot of you have already signed that and turned it in and put it in there. If you're comfortable, obviously, with the code and handbook, you're good, turn it in. If you're not, you'd like to take a day or two, because you get a couple days because you're in football, and look at this online, you can do that as well. We didn't make hard copies for you. That's a ton of paper. So, it's easy to go online. You go to the Cuba City website, go to the high school, go to sports, and then go to the code meeting for 16-17 school year. Every document is there for you to see. So you can scroll through those and look at that. Okay? The code as well as the handbook are also, I believe if you go to students and parents, you can click on students and parents and that form will be there. Okay? The other way is going on is if you went to the high school and then sports, those documents on the right-hand side, that has a lot more information. There's banned substances, et cetera, on that. I would suggest that you look at that, but if you're comfortable, you need to get those turned in. One of those things that we're talking about is the code. You're signing off on that signature sheet right there because you know the code. All right? And I know you don't all know exactly every part of the code. But I'd like to do this. There's just maybe a few things in here that I'd like to highlight. I think it's important. First of all, the academic part of it, the academic standards are your son or daughter cannot fail a quarter grade. If they get an F, then they will become academically eligible. Now, what we do for the first, second, and third quarters are we will have a 4.5-week grade check. So, Pam has a date in the office. I've notified every athlete if they're academically ineligible. And then when that 4.5-week day comes around, I'm finding every grade for that academically ineligible student. If they're passing, they're now eligible. All right? Understand you can only become eligible at the 4.5-week grade check. You can't become ineligible. Okay? The other thing is if you failed one certain class, but now you're passing it, but you failed a different one, you're still ineligible. You still have to pass all. And it's 9 weeks classes. It's not a semester grade. Semester grades don't mean anything in terms of our academic eligibility. Right? School attendance. A student must be in attendance for 4 class periods in order to participate in any extracurricular activity that day or evening. That includes practices or games. Son or daughter needs to be at 4 hours of the 8 in order to be eligible. Next one is bus travel. Activity participants are expected to go and return from out-of-town contests that this was by school transportation. So you have to travel to whatever transportation is. Last part of that is, the exception to this is the participant may return with his or her parents provided the parent requests this exception in person. And they may pick up only their son or daughter. So, we need to see you. I know myself, basketball coach Draper's my guy, and all of our kids know that. If they're going to go home with a parent, they need to see Coach Draper, and he'll make sure that he sees that parent there, give him a thumbs up, he writes it down, we get on the bus, and everybody's accounted for. That's kind of how we do that. If you have some circumstance that you'd like to help another kid out because they have to get back for some reason, that needs to be approved by Mr. Babel. Otherwise, it's only your son or daughter. Standards of behavior are on here. Let's talk about alcohol and drugs, breaking the law, those types of things are all on here. If a student is found guilty or admits in court of law, consumption, possession, acquiring, delivery, all those types of things, they become ineligible. One of the things that is included in this now, as of last year, is any student who violates the activity code and serves a suspension would not be eligible for nomination for postseason awards in the season where the suspension is served. So that has been added to our code. Every school in our SWAL conference has added that. They have different forms of it because of their different codes, but it's in there. In terms of the code, it does have 2 sections. So everybody's aware, there's an activity section, and then there's an athletic section. Okay? Now, if you're in both, if you're an athlete and you're in an activity, you're going to serve that suspension penalty in both. They'll run concurrently. A couple of the violations, let's say it's the first major violation, and within each athletic section there's a major and a minor. If it's a major and it's the first violation, that's 1/3 of a regularly scheduled contest, and the participant must attend all practices during that time. Okay? If it's a second violation, then it's 2/3 of the regularly scheduled contest. A participant may attend practices. And that has to do with communicating with the coach because you're not sure where that falls in terms of the season. It might even roll into the next season to get 2/3. But that will be discussed with that athlete and that coach. The second part to the second violation is this. If it's alcohol or drugs, the second part of you becoming eligible or serving your penalty is an assessment. And that would mean an alcohol assessment or a drug assessment. The parent and athlete would need to go to become eligible at some point again. Okay? Third violation is 1 calendar year, and participant will not be allowed to practice during that suspension. And then the last one we talked about is the minor violations. Minor violations have a lot to do with conduct, and there's a wide variety of conduct items that could occur. So we have what we have down there in terms of the penalties, but at the bottom, we also have the adult penalties and minimum penalties. Any violation could result in a greater penalty or elimination from the activity. So follow that as much as possible and adapt to that violation. There's an appeal process. You have a violation, certainly could appeal. There's a process to go through with that in terms of the principal, activities council, and then superintendent. And that, some of the highlights with our code, or lowlights. All right. The next part is we're going to take about 4 or 5 minutes on break here, and then we're going to get AEIE forms, and we're going to have some other people speaking. But sometimes we think it's good to stand up, take a minute break. If you have some questions, you can come down and ask any specific coaches, myself, Coach Stefan. I'm sure we all have some ailments that want to talk to her about, whether it's yourself or your athlete. All right. So 4-minute break. We'll answer any questions, and we're going to move forward here.
Thank you.